Hello, my name is NJ Franco, and these are my thoughts on the Heroes of Olympus, the Son of Neptune by Riordan. So, first off, I already did a video review on The Lost Hero, the first book in the Heroes of Olympus series. So, if you wish to check that out, I'll be posting a link in the description below for you to check out. But moving on to my review, first thing I want to mention is the fact that this book has a map, which I think is freaking awesome. Anytime a book has a map in it, doesn't necessarily automatically mean I'm gonna love it, but it automatically gets a couple of coolness points for simply having a map. And the map in this book is a Camp Jupiter, which I'm gonna be honest is only useful for like the first third of the book, and then a little bit towards the end once they return to Camp Jupiter. So for the majority of the book, the map of Camp Jupiter isn't super useful, but the fact that it just has a map is just automatically cool with me. Now, speaking of Camp Jupiter, I was actually pretty shocked to see how militarized Camp Jupiter was, especially in comparison to its Greek counterpart, Camp Half Blood. And like when I started reading this series, my wife she's already read most of Heroes of Olympus, and she was like, "Hey, brace yourselves. The Roman gods are like the Greek gods, but on steroids." Okay, and I gotta agree with her. Like pretty much almost everything with the Roman half is more badass than the Greek half, with one exception. Okay, and that's with the fawns, or basically on the Greek camp, it's the satyrs. The Romans have fawns. The fawns, okay, compared to their Greek counterparts, the satyrs actually serve a purpose. The satyrs are actually awesome. They have a role. They protect heroes and go find heroes and whatnot. And the satyrs are awesome. But on the Roman half, the fawns, they're basically useless. I'm gonna be honest with you. They're lazy. They're always like begging for food and money and stuff like that. And I'm like, how can a society of so many like just badassness have the lesser goat people of the bargain? I guess I don't know. So yeah, fawns, in my opinion, are pretty useless. And compared to the satyrs, they just suck. Now here comes the part of the video where I'm probably gonna catch some hate. Okay, so if you like the character Frank Zhang, you might want to skip ahead a couple minutes, okay? Because I'm about to spend a couple minutes tearing Frank apart because I really don't like this guy, okay? So, Frank is 16, and he is romantically interested in Hazel, who is 13. Okay, so 16 and 13, that is a 3-year age difference. And in my opinion, that's kind of creepy. I even talked to my wife about it. I'm like, hey, this character's 16, she's 13. That's weird, right? She goes, yeah, that's kind of weird. Basically, it's like a sophomore in high school being interested in an eighth grader, okay? So a 3-year age gap, at least amongst teenagers, that's weird. Now, you might be thinking, maybe Frank likes Hazel in a sisterly kind of way. Maybe he sees her kind of like a little sister, okay? And if that was the case, I could get behind that, okay? I would be all for that. Great, okay? But here's the thing. I'm convinced that Frank does not see Hazel like a sister because at one point, when they're at Camp Jupiter, they're having some war games, and Hazel is on their war elephant, Hannibal, and Frank sees Hazel on this war elephant, looks up at her, and he thinks to himself, Gods, she is beautiful. Gods, she is beautiful is not something you think about somebody you see as a sister. So clearly he has a romantic interest in her, and that's just creepy and weird. Oh, and I'm not done tearing apart Frank Zhang just yet. I'm almost done, but not quite. I got one more thing I want to say. So, at one point, Percy, he does something heroic because he's Percy. That's what he does. He does heroic things. And Hazel, so thankful that Percy did this heroic thing, gives Percy a kiss on the cheek. Okay, and Rick Riordan made it very very clear that she did this in a brotherly, sisterly kind of way. Okay, she sees Percy like an older brother, being a hero. Okay, again, nothing wrong with that. Okay, but Frank sees this and he gets kind of jealous of this, and he says to Hazel, "Oh, well, do I get a kiss too, huh?" And poor Hazel, she looked at Frank and kind of like gave him a pat on the shoulder. It was kind of like "Oh, you silly goose," or whatever. I felt bad for her. It was just an awkward moment for her, and the fact that Frank got jealous like that and wanted a kiss too from this girl. weird, dude. Okay, back off. Now, I will say this, though. Frank, in my opinion, has two saving graces, okay? One, his weapon. Okay, his weapon's pretty cool. He's got a spear. I'm not going to say what the spear does because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't read the book yet. For those of you who have read the book, you should know what his spear does. And if you forgot, I'll just say the character Gray, if you remember him, that should help jog your memory on what's awesome about his spear. But the other thing, okay, is when they go to rescue the Roman god Thanatos, okay, who is the god of the dead, and he's basically Pluto's right-hand man. Pluto is the Roman version of Hades. He's basically the god of the underworld, and Thanatos is his right-hand man, is god of the dead. They have to free him. So the only way they can figure out how to do that is Frank. He has this like ember thing that's basically his lifeline. His life is attached to this thing, okay? And if it ever burns all the way down, he dies, okay? So they figure out that they need to use this piece of burning wood that's his lifeline and use it to melt the chains holding up Thanatos, okay? So he does this knowing damn well he was probably going to die, that he was going to use up all the fire on this piece of wood and that he was going to die, okay? So Frank was willing to sacrifice his life for, the mission and to save Thanatos, and I gotta give him props for that. I wish he would find somebody else to be romantically interested in, but at least, when he needs to be, he's at least a hero. Now, speaking of Thanatos, I freaking love this guy, okay, because he takes his job super serious, but at the same time, he's very nonchalant about it, okay? Like, he does his job to the T, exactly as he's supposed to, but at the same time, he seems to not really care about his job either. Like, he's basically that guy that shows up to work, clocks in, does his job, and then, goes home. He does his job perfectly, but he doesn't care about one way or the other. He just shows up, does it, goes home. And I love that about that guy. So that just about does it for me, but I will end this video by saying this. I know that a lot of people don't like The Lost Hero, which is fine. And a lot of people say that, the Heroes of Olympus doesn't get good until the Son of Neptune, okay? And I gotta say, strictly looking at The Lost Hero and the Son of Neptune, which of the two do I think is better? Honestly, I like The Lost Hero more, okay? Now, I know a lot of people don't like The Lost Hero because Percy isn't in it, which is valid, and Percy finally shows up in the Son of Neptune, therefore they like the Son of Neptune more. Fine, that's valid. But I like The Lost Hero more than the Son of Neptune for two reasons. One, Leo Valdez. I freaking love that guy. Of all the Heroes of Olympus characters, he is probably quickly becoming my favorite because he's got that Batman utility belt. He can pull basically any tool out of his belt, including mints if you wanted to. He's the team chef. He's the mechanic. He is the glue that holds the party together, and I freaking love that guy. I'm totally Team Leo. But also, the other reason why I like The Lost Hero more than the Son of Neptune is because there's no Frank in it, okay? And I know I've spent probably literally half this video talking about how much I don't like Frank, okay? It's very clear I don't like the guy, okay? So, The Lost Hero has Leo and no Frank, so I like that. And the Son of Neptune has Frank and no Leo. So, for those two reasons mainly, of those two books, I gotta pick The Lost Hero over the Son of Neptune, in my opinion. In fact, I actually ended up making a video that I'll also post in the description below talking about why I think, in my opinion, The Lost Hero wasn't that bad. Again, if you don't like it, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. But if you want to hear my thoughts and opinions on why I think The Lost Hero wasn't as bad as some people say it is, in my opinion, I'll post that down there as well, along with my Lost Hero review. But anyway, that just about does it for me. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit the like button. I know that's very cliche to say, but I've noticed that a lot of my longer format videos don't get likes. And I want to see, okay, if I give a gentle reminder every now and again, if maybe, it'll start getting likes. If not, then I'll just stop doing that in my videos. But I just want to see what a gentle reminder does. And get me some likes, see if that works. If not, then I'll stop it. But anyway, that's it for me. And as always, thank you for watching.